حسن يا سلطان الزمان يا حسن
شيل الله يا حسن يا حسن يا سلطان الزمان يا حسن
شيل الله يا حسن يا حسن يا سلطان الزمان يا حسن
شيل الله يا حسن يا حسن يا سلطان الزمان يا حسن
يا ربيب السنان
يا حسن
يا أستاذ الزمان
يا حسن
أنت باب البلاد
يا حسن
يا مدير المعاد يا حسن
شيل الله يا حسن
The Sudanese Khatmiya. It is my great pleasure, dear audience, presenting you to the second episode in our presentation to Sudanese Sufism and Khatmiya in particular, since we have devoted the first episode to handle the story life and the contributions in addition to the life of Al-Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Khatim, the founder of the Khatmiya Sufi order in the Islamic world. So today, in our presence, an influential and significant Sudanese Sufi tariqa, and that is the Khatmiya in its Sudanese setting. The Sudan branch of the Khatmiya was established by Al-Sayyid Muhammad Al-Hassan ibn Al-Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Mirghani, commonly known as Al-Sayyid Al-Hassan and sometimes referring to as Abu Jallabiya. In the advent of the Khatmiya teachings as part of the school of Al-Sayyid Ahmad ibn Idris, new spirit of revivalism has infused into Sudanese Sufism. Following his 3 visits to Sudan, Sayyid Al-Khatim firmly has laid the strong cornerstone of his tariqa, where his son Muhammad Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani, his representative in the country, has successfully played the role of its widespread and expansion. To the view of the researcher John Vaughan in his study, A History of Khatmiya in Sudan, 1969, page 153, the Khatmiya tariqa in the Sudan became widespread and influential under the leadership of Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani, the son of the founder of the order. Building on the foundations laid by his father, Hassan al-Mirghani created a structure which gained wide popular support and real political influence. In the process, the Khatmiya both became Sudanized and was part of the process of change that taken place in Sudanese society in the 19th century. For more information in this particular area, I referring you to John Vaughan, A History of Khatmiya in Sudan, 1969, and published thesis. However, and as a focus on presenting the Khatmiya in its Sudanese setting, here the biography of Al-Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani, the great man behind the Sudanese Khatmiya, his family, his religious education, his Sufi sanad, his success and contribution to Sudanese Sufism, in addition to his notable students, will be the focus of our presentation for now. So the Khatmiya under Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani and his successors after him has played very great role and participated and at the same time contributed greatly in Sudanese society in terms of their contributions in religious, spiritual, social and political fields. However, all these aspects and features of the tariqa will be handled in our discussion throughout this episode. Muhammad Al-Hassan Muhammad Usman Al-Mirghani, 1819-1869, family and lineage. Sayyid Muhammad Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani was born in Bara in Kordofan around 1819. His full name is Sayyid Muhammad Al-Hassan ibn Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Mirghani Al-Khatim ibn Sayyid Abdullah Al-Mahjub. His lineage ends with Imam Al-Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His mother was a Sudanese woman whom Muhammad Usman married during his travels in the Sudan. His mother, Ruqayya bint Jallab, descended from a prominent and notable Sudanese family in Kordofan, mainly from Bara. In Oxford reference, it has been written about him: a religious teacher and leader of the Khatmiya Tariqa, Sufi mystical order in Sudan, was born in Bara, Kordofan, in the western Sudan. His father, Muhammad Usman Al-Mirghani Al-Khatim, was a prominent scholar in Mecca, who established the Khatmiya and constructed the foundations for the Tariqa in Sudan in a number of trips early in the 19th century. His mother was Ruqayya bint Jallab from a politically and religiously prominent clan in eastern Sudan, whom his father married during his first trip in the country. His religious education. About his religious education, Sayyid Al-Hassan received a thorough education in both the scholarly religious disciplines and in Sufism. Although he had other teachers, his father appears to have guided his education carefully and was Al-Hassan's major teacher. So out of these words, we would like to say that Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Khatim is the direct and is the major teacher of his son Sayyid Al-Hassan. Despite that, he has received religious education from other teachers. So in his journey with his religious education, he combined also between the scholarly religious discipline in addition to tasawwuf. It was also stated about his religious education and said, although his father returned to Mecca, Hassan al-Mirghani remained in Sudan, where he received an education in the Islamic religious sciences from scholars in his mother's family and associates of his father. When he was about 14, he went to Arabia, Hijaz, where he continued his education under his father's guidance. He was, however, at an early age, more inclined to mystical mediation than to the study of the religious sciences. Such views have been taken from oxfordreference.com. In the Hijaz, Al-Hassan memorized the Quran under a religious teacher from Medina, Muhammad Sheikh al-Dalali. He was also thoroughly educated by his father in a wide range of Islamic subjects. He was taught by woman, a former student of his great-grandfather, Abdullah al-Mahjub al-Mirghani, a litany known as Wird al-Basmala. Al-Hassan recited the word continuously for 19 days before being ordered in a vision by Al-Khidr to recite instead another word called Ya Hayy Ya Qayyum. Al-Hassan spent 8 months wandering in the mountains between Mecca and Taif, preoccupied with the recitation of his new litany. In a further vision of Al-Khidr, he was ordered to enter into spiritual retreat, Khalwa, in Mecca. Hassan then traveled to Al-Madinah, where he performed the visitation to the grave of the Prophet. Al-Hassan's long stay in Medina worried his father, who wrote to him several times, asking him to return to Mecca. Al-Hassan finally did so, and afterwards left with his father to Sawakin, where they stayed for 2 or 3 months. His father ordered him to travel throughout Sudan to propagate the order and to propagate the order and the teachings of the Khatmiya. His Sufi Sanad. About his Sufi Sanad, the Sayyid Al-Hassan Mirghani was initiated under his father, the Gnostic, the scholar, and the perfect wali, Sayyid Muhammad Usman Mirghani al-Khatim, into the Khatmiya and has been authorized in the 5 turuq that make up the tariqah. So these 5 turuq represented in the Qadiriya, Naqshbandiyya, Shadhuliyya, Junaydiyya, and Mirghaniya. Sayyid Al-Hassan finally settled in Kassala, where he founded the village of Khatmiya near the Taka mountain. He made it the central Zawiya in the Sudan. So, as we have stated here, Sayyid Muhammad Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani has been initiated into the Sufi Tariqa, here the Khatmiya, under his father, Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Khatim, having the authorization in the 5 turuq that make up the Tariqa. And he am referring to the Qadiriya, Naqshbandiyya, Junaydiyya, Shadhuliyya, and Mirghaniya. And Mirghaniya, by the way, it is founded by his grandfather, Sayyid Abdullah al-Mahjub al-Mirghani. His Sufi doctrine. So before I would like to go further in my presentation to Sayyid Al-Hassan Sufi doctrine, I would like to remind you, dear audience, that now I'm presenting the Sudanese Khatmiya. So about the doctrine of Sayyid Al-Hassan, his Sufi doctrine is that of the righteous predecessors, more specifically his father, Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Khatim Al-Mirghani doctrine. And as we presented the speech on him, the speech on Sayyid Al-Khatim in our first episode that provided the introduction of the Khatmiya Sufi order, and as we stated in the biography of the founder, that Sayyid Al-Khatim doctrine is based on abiding with Sharia, following the teachings of the Holy Quran and the Prophetic Sunnah. Though the same thing here, it has been taken by his representative in Sudan and his son, Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani. So Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani, by the way, and not as an exception, he followed the doctrine of Sayyid Al-Khatim, which in fact is a doctrine that is based on adhering to the Sharia law, based on the Holy Quran teachings, in addition to the prophetic Sunnah. So the author of Kitab al-Ibana al-Nuriya في شأن صاحب الطريقة الختمية, authored by Sayyid Ahmad ibn Idris al-Nasih, about the doctrine of Sayyid Al-Hassan, he wrote, he is the companion of his father in perfection, and his associate in the ranks of nearness and connection to God. So in the book of Al-Ibana, Sayyid Ahmad ibn Idris, the writer, he described the doctrine of Sayyid Al-Hassan, that Sayyid Al-Hassan is the companion of his father. That means he reached the perfection, realized the perfection, and at the same time he is also one of those who actualize the ranks of the nearness and the rank of al-wisal, or the connection with the Almighty God. He went further and told about Al-Sayyid Al-Hassan doctrine and said he is always busy of remembrance. He is always busy of remembrance. And in this regard, he used to invest and to observe every moment to sending the zikr and to recite the remembrance. So Days and night passed without sleeping, occupying himself with frequent remembrance of God. He is an example of a true ascetic, follows the way of the ascetics, and shows the austerity in his behaving and dealing with people. And as the gifts and presents used to be provided to him by the visitors and his followers, he used to distribute the gifts and presents to the needy one, not sparing even a dirham or a dinar. For more information, I referring you to Al-Iban al-Nuriya, page 55. So for more details to the doctrine of Sayyid Al-Hassan, I referring you to Al-Iban al-Nuriya, page 55. His success. Following his assume to the Caliphate of the Khatmiya in Sudan, and through his runs to the affair of the Tariqa, Sayyid Al-Hassan has achieved great success and achievements. So, built on the legacy and the gallery of the strong foundation that had been established by his father, Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Khatim, Sayyid Al-Hassan continued the journey of achievement, and in this regard he has realized great success and great achievements. And such great success and achievement, by the way, attributed to many factors. Among these factors is the strong foundation that had been laid by his father, Sayyid al-Khatim, in the Sudan. This is from a side. And from another side, that is the family lineage, that is because they belong to the family of the Prophet. And the Sudanese have their great reference and respect to the Prophet's noble family. So, in addition to his creation of a strong relationship with the prominent notable Sudanese families, all of these factors, by the way, has contributed further to enable Sayyid Al-Hassan to make the great achievements and the great success. So here, just I would like to quote some parts of the views in regard to the success that had already been achieved by Sayyid Al-Hassan al-Mirghani. So in the view of Gabriel Warburg, Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Khatim's son, Sayyid Al-Hassan al-Mirghani, followed his fathers, and with his charisma was able to further the importance of the Tariqa Khatmiya. So this is just the view of Gabriel Warburg in his book, The Sudan and the Ringit Administration in the Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, 1899-1916, London, 1971. While the order spread widely during Muhammad Usman's lifetime, its success was based on the work of his successors, in particular his son Muhammad al-Hassan al-Mirghani. The leadership remained with the family but was regionalized in district sections around a central lodge at Saniya in eastern Sudan. During the Turco-Egyptian occupation of the Sudan, 1881, the Khatmiya became the largest tariqa in the Sudan, spread and organized by Al-Mirghani's Sudanese-born son, Muhammad al-Hassan. Building on his father's legacy and pockets of followers, Hassan al-Mirghani organized the tariqa on a new hierarchical basis and centralized structure, founded on a combination of scholastic and esoteric traditions. The Khatmiya received the recognition and fortism of the Turkey-Egyptian regime, a factor which must have contributed to the tariqa's spread and its transformation into a broad national Sufi order. From another hand, another view on the success of Sayyid Al-Hassan al-Mirghani is from the late Professor Ali Saleh Karrar in his study, The Sufi Brotherhoods in Sudan. So, according to Ali Saleh Karrar, just here I would like to quote his words describing the achievement and success that had been realized by Sayyid Al-Hassan. As has been noted by Vol, here Ali Saleh referring to John Vol in his study A History of Khatmi in Sudan. As has been noted by Vol, it was Al-Hassan who successfully consolidated the Khatmiya, especially in northern and eastern Sudan. The success of his consolidation can be seen in the ability of the Khatmiya to face challenges of its influence, even in Al-Hassan's lifetime. Other Sufi orders which, like the Khatmiya, originated within the Idrisi tradition, also found their way into the northern Sudan. None succeeded in attracting as large a number of followers as the Khatmiya. The fact that the Khatmiya came into the region before the others may have helped. Such was the view of Professor Ali Saleh Karrar. Another view came from Dr. Tariq Muhammad Usman in his study Tariq al-Khatmiya fi Sudan. So just he has written about the success that have been achieved by Sayyid Al-Hassan and said, Muhammad Al-Hassan al-Mirghani was successful in proving his father's preaching project, as well as his ideas and teachings. The man who successfully established the Tariq's foundation and produced several expansions and increased in allegiance in the Sudanese territory. So just this is the view of Tariq Muhammad Usman. He stated that Sayyid Al-Hassan has achieved great success and achievement and make broad expansion to the Tariqa and increasing the allegiance of the Tariqa in the Sudanese territory. Sayyid Al-Hassan al-Mirghani has developed great relationship with many notable Sudanese Sufi Tariqas leaders, and among these were the two prominent Qadri centers, that is the center of Sheikh Al-Ubaid with Badur and the center of Sheikh Ibrahim Al-Kabbashi. So Al-Mirghani, Hassan Al-Mirghani frequently visited the village of Al-Kabbashi with a large group of his followers. Hassan was respected by Al-Kabbashi and his adherents, and they used to exchange correspondence on various religious matters. This relationship continued even after the death of both Al-Hassan and Al-Kabbashi himself. Sheikh Ibrahim with Ahmad, commonly known as Abu Nafisa, a Sufi poet and a leading follower of Al-Kabbashi branch of the Qadiriya, composed a poem in praise of Sayyid Al-Hassan, referring to him as Al-Wasila, the intermediary with God. So, furthermore, Al-Hassan also had close ties with the Sheikh Al-Ubaid with Badur. Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani, who had met Al-Ubaid in Mecca, is said to have his own prophecy that upon the later return to the Sudan, he should find tree filled with flies where he would establish religious center. Thus, the establishment of Al-Ubaid's Khalwa and Sufi center at Umdouban, near the present-day North Khartoum, was considered as one of Al-Mirghani's numerous miracles. Al-Hassan al-Mirghani was on friendly terms with the followers of Ahmad ibn Idris, especially Ibrahim al-Rashid. He also maintained close relations with his brothers and other members of the Mirghani family, who, because of the deeply rooted belief in their hereditary baraka, enjoyed equal veneration by marriage connections. Al-Hassan exchanged letters with these relatives, discussing with them religious as well as personal matters. So for more information in this particular area, referring you to Ali Saleh Karrar in his book Sufi Brotherhoods in Sudan. Al-Hassan al-Mirghani family and politics. Since he assumed the Caliphate of the Khatmiya in Sudan, following with his ancestors, we find that the family of Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Hassan, Muhammad al-Hassan al-Mirghani, is connected with the practice of politics in Sudan. So this is an area of argument, by the way. And what I would like to say before saying the other views on this particular area, I would like to say that the nature of the Islam that have been adopted by the Sudanese political parties, here I'm referring to Ummah Party in addition to Democratic Unionist Party, the nature of the Islam that have adopted, by the way, is emerged from the Sudanese environment, emerged from the Sudanese setting. So because of this, we come to find both the two families following the tolerant, flexible, a moderate of believing. I'm referring here to the Islam, to the Sudanese Islam, the Sufi Islam, following the adopting of this nature of the Islam. We found that the Sudanese, from very early of time, they practice politics different from the practice of politics based on the teachings and the views and the sort of other Islamic sects. However, about the founder, Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani, who, like his master, Ibn Idris, kept aloof from the rulers of the day, exhorted his son Al-Hassan not to follow in his footsteps in this respect, and urged him to associate with the Turco-Egyptian government and to behave politely towards it. So here what I would like to say is that Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Khatim, by the way, following the footsteps of his teacher, Sayyid Ahmad ibn Idris, together they kept aloof from the rulers, from politics, but Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Khatim, by the way, he advised his son, Sayyid al-Hassan, not to follow on his footsteps. That means he should come to involve and engage in politics, and he asked him to behave politely toward the practice of politics itself. However, the practice of politics, in accordance with the Khatmiya teaching itself, is not for the sake of politics. Rather, to their tradition and heritage, it is the means. It is the means through which they intend to serve the populace. And in their doctrine, I mean here the doctrine of the Khatmiya, the involvement and engagement in politics, for them Islam is a religion instead. So they think that Islam is a religion instead. And because of this, they involve and engage in politics, not for the practice of politics itself, rather is to take the politics in order to serve the populace. So during the lifetime of Sayyid Al-Hassan al-Mirghani, and that is, by the way, during the Turks' rule, Al-Hassan enjoyed great social status and political influence. He was frequently asked by the government to intervene to settle disputes. He played a significant role as intermediary during the serious mutiny of the Jihadiyat Kassala in 1864. In return for his support for the government, and this is a view of Ali Saleh Karrar, He said, in return for his support for the government, Al-Hassan was granted privileges, and his center of learning at Hassaniya was flourished. So Al-Hassan did not involve himself directly in politics. He thus laid the foundation of the strategy of not openly involving himself in politics that was to be maintained by his sons and their descendants to the present day. That's the view of Ali Saleh Karrar, Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan, 1992, page 80. One of the most significant figures that has been emerged from the family of Al-Sayyid al-Khatim, mainly in the Sudanese setting, was Al-Sayyid Ali al-Mirghani, a great noble politician and spiritual guide. Here, just I would like to present short notes about him. Al-Sayyid Ali al-Mirghani, 1884-1968, a prominent religious and political leader in Sudan. The Mirghani family came to Sudan in the early 19th century and established the Khatmi Tariqa. Ali assumed leadership of the family and the Brotherhood early in the 20th century. He was the patron of the nationalist parties supporting the unity of the Nile Valley, in competition with parties supported by the family of the Sudanese Mahdi. Following Sudanese independence, he was the major patron of one of the two largest political parties, and during both military and parliamentary regimes was a significant political force until his death. Such was the view of OxfordReference.com website. Al-Sayyid Ali al-Mirghani was the head of one of the most influential Sufi tariqas in the Sudan, the Khatmiya. His ancestor came to the Sudan from the Hijaz and claimed a holy descent from the Prophet Muhammad via his daughter Fatima, the wife of Ali ibn Abi Talib. His grandfather, Muhammad Usman al-Mirghani, 1793-1853, came to the Sudan in 1817 and laid down the foundations of the Khatmiya Tariqa. That is the view of Ahmed Ibrahim Abu Shok in his paper, The Anglo-Egyptian Sudan from Collaboration Mechanism to Party Politics, published paper 2010. The Khatmiya followers in Kassala province remain up to the present under the leadership of Al-Hassan grandsons. It is the only region in which the order remains as a tariqa, uniting its followers and apparently unconcerned with any other affairs. In the Khartoum area, the leadership was under Ali al-Mirghani, a grandson of Al-Hassan. Ali emerged influential both as a tariqa sheikh and a politician. He died in 1968 and was succeeded by his son Muhammad Usman, who, like his father, is a sheikh and a politician as well. That's the view of Roman Lomer, Muslim Societies in Africa, a historical anthropology, Indiana University Press, 2013, page 10. Scholarly Sufi order. Some people think of the Khatmiya as a political sect that lacks doctrine and religious methodology as well as thought. Some others, they think that Khatmiya or Khatmi's followers are those who only consider the spiritual side of things emotionally, as evidenced by their strong bond, love, and devotion to Sayyid al-Mirghani family, who are a branch of the Prophet family. These individuals are surrounded by Khatmiya Rali followers who show their loyalty and believe in them by praising them, talking about their miracles and good tidings, associating with them. Such thoughts and views is not the true image. That is because the researcher studying the history of the Khatmiya will discover that the Khatmiya is based strongly in knowledge and science, and within its own schools So numerous scholars have emerged, starting from the early establishment of the tariqa in the country. So many Sudanese families belong to the Khatmiya, by the way, constituted an institution, educational institution, an institution that provide knowledge to the Sudanese societies, taking teaching of the knowledge from a side and giving guidance from another side. Such was the view of the engineer Walid Qasim in his study, in his book, Al-Muzn al-Hattan. By the way, Al-Muzn al-Hattan is a book that had been devoted to present and introduce significant figures that have been emerged from the Khatmiya Sufi order since the establishment of the tariqa in its Sudanese setting, starting from the founder, Al-Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani in its Sudanese context, followed with his ancestor after him. So to Walid Qasim, by the way, there are many Sudanese Khatmi families that distinguish with dissemination of knowledge and at the same time giving guidance. So just here I would like to quote from Walid Qasim, part of the students that have been authorized by Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani himself during his lifetime. So just here I would like to take examples of what he has stated about the student of Sayyid Al-Hassan. Khalifa Babikir Abu Al-Maali, known as Wad al-Muta'arid, a descendant of Sheikh Hamad Wad al-Maryum. He was a great scholar of Islamic law and a distinguished scholar. Another important student of Sayyid Al-Hassan, Khalifa Ahmad ibn Idris al-Rubatabi. And then we have here Khalifa Umar Harwal, and then we have Sheikh Ahmad ibn Muhammad al-Faqih Ali ibn al-Mulatham. So before we go further to state the students that have been authorized by the Khulafa of Sayyid Al-Hassan, here just I would like to state part of the family that have been stated by Walid Qasim in his study Al-Muzn al-Hattan. I mean here I would like to refer to the notable, famous and prominent Sudanese Khatmi families that distinguish with the distribution of knowledge. Just here we have Al-Irqab in Nouri in northern Sudan, the family of Sheikh Wad-Zaki in the Blue Nile or in the White Nile, the family of Sheikh Hamad al-Nahlan al-Turabi in Jazeera, the family of Khalifa Mustafa Wad Haj Umara Halfayat al-Muluk, the family of Al-Faqih Ali in the area of Al-Halfa west of Berber, the family of Al-Faqih Wad Hamad Al-Sayyid in Tampul, that is in eastern Jazeera, the family of Al-Faqih Abd al-Rahim in eastern Jazeera, and we have the family of Al-Khalifa Al-Bigal in Jazeera also. In the very same book, Al-Muzn al-Hattan, Walid Qasim went further to give examples of the prominent khulafas that he managed to record or to document their lives. And by the way, those khulafas have emerged during the different periods of the Khatmiya, starting from the founder, Sayyid Al-Hassan, following with his son, Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Aqrab, and then we go on to Sayyid Ali Al-Mirghani, and now we have Sayyid Muhammad Usman Al-Mirghani. That is in Bahri, while in Sinkat or in Al-Khatmiya in Kasala, the family of Al-Sayyid Al-Hassan also is distributed there, and from their part also they have authorized many students in the Khatmiya Sufi order. So just I would like to suffice here with mentioning part of the names, the prominent names that have been stated by Walid Qasim in his study Al-Muzn Al-Hattan. Here we have Al-Khalifa Ali Malik, we have Al-Khalifa Osman Karmoush, we have Al-Khalifa Muhammad Al-Mufti, we have Al-Khalifa Abdul Rahim Al-Hajj, we have Al-Khalifa Muhammad Al-Khair Al-Biqil, we have Al-Khalifa Ibrahim Al-Imam, we have Al-Khalifa Osman Hussein Barrijali, we have Al-Khalifa Muhammad Osman Al-Amawi, we have Al-Khalifa Makki Arabi, and we have Mawlana Al-Faqih Al-Khalifa Hamid Muhammad Khair, and then we have Al-Khalifa Sheikh Muhammad Hassan Abdul Majid, Khalifa Suleiman Muhammad Al-Alim, Khalifa Sheikh Ali Muhammad Hmouda, Sheikh Adda Shingiti, Al-Khalifa Sheikh Muhammad Usman Al-Zubair, a very important, significant and influential Khatmi scholar. He is known nationwide. In addition, further, we have Al-Khalifa Al-Faqih Ahmad bin Qadir Abu Kanna, we have Al-Khalifa Ali Al-Khalifa Al-Hassan, and then we have Al-Khalifa Sheikh Ali Zain Al-Abdin, a very important, prominent Khatmi scholar. And in Sudan, by the way, he is influential and well known because of his authoring books. He has written many books, by the way, and out of his achievement and contribution is his famous debate with the leader of Ansar al-Sunnah, Abu Zaid Muhammad Hamza. It is a famous debate, by the way, has taken place during 1970s, in which he stood as a strong defendant to Sufism and Sufi doctrine. And then we have also Sheikh Al-Khalifa Muhammad Ahmad Al-Rahbi, we have Al-Khalifa Al-Hassan Al-Zain Al-Khalifa Al-Hassan, and finally we have Al-Khalifa Abdul Aziz Al-Dabbagh. And here I would like to conclude with Al-Khalifa Abdul Rauf Ahmad Musa. So after a life full with great achievements, Al-Sayyid Al-Hassan Al-Mirghani has passed away on November 23, 1869 and was buried in Al-Khatmiya, and his tomb became a place of visitation. Then he had been succeeded by his son Sayyid Muhammad Usman, known as Al-Aqrab.